Hello and welcome back to our continued adventures on the Let's Defend platform. Today we are tackling SOC 330. HTran network tunneling potentially associated with APT10. MENUPASS was detected. EventID is 308, type is APT group. So this is basically the second APT practice lab that is available. Occurred October 8th, 2024, 8:26 a.m. Let's see, on Jenessa, 172.16.17.131. It does look like it kicks off HTran, slaving it to 218.274.98 over port 4444. And then redirecting to 18.189.13.47 over port 80. Trigger reason detects the execution of HTran tool with suspicious network tunneling behavior. I mean, technically, wouldn't anything at that point be sus? I mean, realistically. L1 note, minutes before the alert, I saw a brute force attempt against a system with different users from the IP 87.249.134.130. However, I could not determine whether this attack was successful or not. I also could not see the relevant command in the system history. Okay, so first off, HTran. So that's github.com/highwindcn/HTran, which confirms it's a connection bouncer, aka kind of like a proxy. Listener program is hacked stealthily onto an unsuspecting host anywhere on the internet, receives signal from the actual target system, and then redirects it. So let's see, listen. Yeah, I would say that that's not quite. So if it's slaving to that, yeah, I think I got that right. So then we should see some similar traffic. So what we're going to do is we're going to check log. We're going to dump in the Jenessa system, the 172.16.17.131 inside of log. And this should be set up to, let's see, date. We see a bunch from that 87.249 address, which was talked about in the L1 note in regards to the brute force. So we'll see the aspects on the firewall, but what we will see is on the OS. Failed password for invalid user test. Oh, wow, so that's really giving out a lot extra. One, the password's wrong. Two, there is no user test. Let's see, failed password for Let's Defend. So that confirms that, okay, there's a Let's Defend account here. And it looks like this continues going. So yeah, we by this point we've got confirmed brute forcing. Let's see about trying to work backwards. Destination port's 22, so it's all probably just. Failed password for analyst. Accepted password for analyst. Okay, so they cracked the analyst password. So that would have allowed them to connect in via SSH onto the host. Audit. So it looks like they're running netstat. They then reach out to that HighWindCN HTran.get, which will take you just there to pull down the file, which, okay, they do a clone for the get. And then they are, no, building? Isn't that from the GCC? So they'd be building it. And then they're running this off, where basically it is reaching out to the 218.27.498 over port 4444. So then how we would read this, it would be, it's going to accept from 18.189.13.47 over port 80. So maybe this is like a attempt to build out a DOS or DDoS network. Or they're just looking to sit there and come at this from a different angle. Or is it reaching out to establish a connection to then go backwards? But so the host is reaching out to the 218. So let's see. The brute forcing does not have anything per VT. The 218 that was reached out to over port 4444 comes back as China Unicom 8 out of 94. Vendors give some sort of detection. Community, they give us anything. Password spray attack, password spray, brute force attempt from here. Then we need the other ones. We have the 80. So I need the 218. No, I have the 218. It's the other one that's reaching out to the 18.198. Which is likely the target. But let's see. Amazon. Well, hooray. Interestingly enough, I don't see anything else coming through. So there's the command for HTran to slave it to the 218.24.4 or 27.4.98 over port 4444. And then we do another net stat with the A, N, and P flag set. So, but we don't see any sort of follow-up in regards to like an incoming connection from the other IP address. At 218. Right? Or no? No, it reaches out the 218, so then we don't see it from the other one. The Amazon one that it's set up to. Okay. So yeah, I would say that's not great. If we take a look at endpoint, go browser history, we can confirm at 8/10/2024 at 8/24/51, they reached out to the GitHub. It looks like it's just regular Linux distros they're looking at. Let's see. When did we get the established detection that they allowed it? It was this one here at 8:18. So about 2 minutes later, groups, who am I? etc password. Is this a Windows host or is this? Nope, this is an Ubuntu host. Okay, so that makes sense then. Why they're doing cat etc password or pass WD. They cat the resolver. They want to take a look at the contents of home. Cron tab, they reach out to... No, they want to take a look at the stuff in cron tab. They build HTran, they kick it off, and then they do probably another netstat in order to verify. And we don't see any other activity until like 20 minutes after most all this stuff goes down. Network actions. '83. And it reaching out to 104. Got a genome stuff. Damon. Oh man. All right, let's go more towards the end. So they build it. I was hoping that we'd actually see. Kind of interesting that we don't actually. Okay, there's the netstat. So is that bash there when they actually kick it off? No, that's groups. Yeah, well, we're going to do containment. I mean, realistically, I don't think that this really requires anything more. I mean, it looks like everything pretty much promptly stops shortly thereafter, so why spin up the VM? I mean, the terminal history just seems to stop at 8:26, so I'm assuming that's the particular point where we would now find ourselves that we've responded, and we're now cutting everything off. I really don't think that there's much that's going to be learned from that. That's not plainly given here. But I'm gonna pause it, gonna spin it up, gonna poke just to see. Okay, having to spin this up, I took a look in the analyst folder, or pretty much all the folders. I did not see the HTran stuff being dumped down, although if it was in Git, I'd had to probably to figure out where the local folder for that would be. But so I figured, okay, how about var, log, and then the audit files that would be in there. There were 3. So doing a grep space double quote dot / HTran, doing capital H, capital T, double quote space audit.log asterisk to cover, since it's audit.log, audit.log.1, and then audit.log.2 that were inside the var log audit folders, just to see. And effectively, it gives us the same exact stuff like what we were expecting. So in apparently root, there should be root downloads HTran. Okay, here's just a wild thing. Maybe I didn't dig as deep into that as I thought. So we go here, we go back to computer. Oh, I didn't take a look at root. I looked in home. Okay, HTran is there. And gives us the same type of aspect like what we saw on the actual GitHub page. Okay, so that doesn't really help us at all. Not with any of this, but we verified it's there. Although interestingly that it's there as root. But I don't, well, no, because if I do sudo, so basically run the thing as root, I don't see, or I'm not prompted for a password, so maybe they just were able to go in and go from there. But if we go through and do the grep through that stuff, we do see we get the aspect of the cloning, like what we got in the logs themselves underneath log management, where they reach out to the Git, where it looks like they build it, and then we get the same aspect of inside of audit.log.1, we get the line where basically it's running the HTran dash slave to the 218.24 or 27.4.98 over port 4444. Then the other address being the 18.189.13.47 over port 80. Past that point, not a whole heck of a lot. And that's bore out. If we cat the /home/analyst /.bash_history, we get history, and then we get sudo su. So then they would be running as root. Okay, well, I think that gives us a story. They brute forced, they got in as analyst. They then did sudo su, so they were running everything as root, which would explain as to why when we go and take a look at the root directory and downloads, we find HTran. And I'm assuming that would actually work, right? That we could actually kick it off. Root, downloads, HTran, Unix-like version. So can I just do slash? Oops. Yeah, it'll kick it off. So not imperative, but at least we've got the particular aspect of that we looked inside of bash history for analysts. It confirms that it's sudo su, and that explains as to why everything's underneath the root user. So we can just terminate that then. See, I think that we've got more than enough to put this to bed. And we'll finish this out. 1 second. I gotta go and take a phone call. All right. So let's put all of this together. So continue. And give me the case. Oh, there we go. Okay. View the information, investigate. See any suspicious user or process activity that establishes outbound, inbound connections? Yes. Has the source IP address or name been previously associated with malicious activity? So that would be the 87.249.134.30 and the 218.27.498, right? So the brute forcing, we don't get anything inside of ET. Excuse me. But if we take a look at what looks to be the C2 server, yeah, we get malicious. So I'm going to say yes. Let's see. Identify suspicious connections, check for anomalous process. So it would be the HTran, and then that would be the communications to the one IP address with port 4444, and then it expecting commands to come back over port 80 from the other, the C2. And we took a look in log management for the comms. So it's going to be TCP. Actually, is that going to actually be collected? Yeah, TCP. Because that's the only thing that we've observed thus far. Did we observe? I mean, we were able to see everything, so I know what technique was used. That was basically proxy, but yeah, none endpoint. Oh, there is proxy. That is a investigate the host associated with the alert. Wait. What technique was used? So are we talking about the fact that we had to get HTran on there, which would be ingress tool transfer, or is it specifically the proxy? T1105. Oh, okay, let's take a look and see if we can figure this out. Adverse may transfer tools other from external system to a compromised environment. Cripe. Yeah, that would cover pulling HTran from GitHub. And then the proxy is 1090. Connection proxy to redirect systems act as intermediary, which seems to be proxies or port redirection, including HTran, ZX proxy, or ZX port map. Okay, I'm going to say proxy, because we're talking about the actual C2 traffic, not how the malware got on there. This is a true positive. Does the device need to be isolated? Yes. We've already done containment. We do backup of evidence. So that would be the var log audit directory. And we would grab the contents of /root, and we would get /root /home/analyst, we would grab the hidden files that start with the dot. So like the dot /_history, since that verifies what we have. Okay, eradication. So we'd nuke it, we recover the system, and we would make sure that SSH is not wide open to the internet. So how did it happen? Apparently SSH was exposed to the internet. There was no MFA. There was no geo IP restrictions, anything else like that. How well did staff and management perform? Well, I mean, they were able to pick up on the brute forcing, but they weren't able to actually confirm. Whereas if you looked inside the log management, you'd be able to see that. So, I mean, they figured out something was hinky and they escalated. So, realistically, from a level 1 perspective, yeah, you figured out something was kind of weird and you included enough info that, hey, it looked like this was possibly brute force. So, I mean, it's called out. Could it be better? Sure. But the basics are there. Do differently next time a similar incident. Maybe more time in the log management. I mean, filtering just on. And then going to the end of when you actually see the activity would be an aspect. I mean, if we were to look at just the firewall log, sure, we'd see the constant hitting. But corrective actions. So, set up the firewall to only accept, like if they're SSHing from, site B, or, although realistically, you'd expect that they should VPN before they're going to SSH to their particular box. Why was SSH exposed to the internet at all? I suppose maybe if you want to be able to hit it from home on a personal system to sit there and do that stuff, assuming it's allowed, then the home IP should be the only thing that would be allowed in that particular direction. I mean, okay, so the employee would have to get a static IP, but I mean, if you're going to sit there and do this, let's do this right. Failed to ban should have also probably been looked at and put in there. So in the event that, so many failed attempts, should have sat there and added a rule just to block that IP that was constantly hitting it. Procedures or indicators should be watched for. Well, I guess technically you could take inside the seam with all the event logs going into it, set it to like 2 or 3. I mean, because there's like 7 pages of failed login attempts between the firewall and OS level. So you would think that you could correlate that. So, I mean, if it's set to, it's got to be like 50 times before it would flag the alert, then the alert really should be tuned further down. So if it's 50, cut it to 10. But realistically, you'd try baselining and try to figure out where that sweet spot would be. Okay, now we'll go to artifacts. So what are we going to end up with here? Crap, I did not grab the hash of HTran when it was running. I don't suppose if we go to GitHub, no packages, so this would actually have to be built. We should get HTran.c. Is that the only thing that's in there? Wow, why is this chugging so much? Oh, poor processor's pegged out. Okay, able to fix that actively. Restarted the VM, just brought up PuTTY and did a SSH connection to what they give you. Did sudo su and then transferred over to /root /downloads /HTran Unix dash like underscore version, and then pretty much just ran MD5 sum on the HTran executable that's there, not the .c file, and gives us a MD5 sum starting in 4 echo 1, ending in Charlie Bravo 1 Bravo. And if we take that and dump it into virus total, we get that it's an ELF. Last analysis was 10 days ago, but no engines detected. Although it looks like Thor APT scanner does have a Yara or set of Yara rules that would cover this. They're 3 years old. But okay, so that gives us our MD5 sum. So we can go back. We're going to get 3 IP addresses. We're going to get the brute forcer. We're going to get the slaved and then the C2 address. And then we will have the MD5 sum of HTran. Let's see, that's the brute forcer. And that was our 87, 249, 134, 30. Slave and then C2. C2 then is the one that's 4444. Well, actually, technically, I guess that would be the listening IP. So I guess we'd have to make sure that that is, wait, that's the 18? That was the one that was Amazon. So likely we won't be able to action on this just because of the fact that it is Amazon. And then do we have anything else? We don't have a URL address. No. I mean, okay, I guess we do. I mean, sure, technically we do, I guess. And we actually have that open. Or we did. So I guess we could add that into like a block list. If anybody tries to reach out to that particular page in GitHub. Okay, so we got the URL. We have, there was no emails that we could, that I could find. You got October 2nd, October 11th, October 15th. So even if we say, okay, well maybe Jenessa is slow reading emails. There's nothing here before that. So they must not communicate a whole heck of a lot. So say, no, I'm kind of interested. Okay, is there? Okay, we're all the way back in 2023. I don't think we did go that far. Not realistically. Okay, so we've got all that. I don't think I've got any, no, I don't think there's anything else I can think of. SSH was brute forced. analyst account was found. Yes, because if we go to log management on page 8 with the timing, right? OS, accepted password for analyst. Okay, so go back here. Brute forced from 87 analyst account. Password was found. Hacker sudo so seeded root to download HTran from GitHub, build and execute it. HTran was listening for incoming 18, 189, 13, 27 on port 80, C2, IP 218. That's the China. Port 4444. Also the typical one for Metasploit. Yeah, we don't really have much of anything else, do we? We contain the host, and yeah. Host quarantined. Analyst password need to be changed. To restrict SSH access. Evaluate. Fail to ban. Okay. So pop that in. Confirm. You completed the playbook. Hooray. Let's complete the case. True positive. We'll put the same message that we did for the note. Well, we finished. We just didn't get apparently something right since we didn't get. What technique used in C2 traffic? Application layer protocols, which are commonly used to evade detection. Non-standard port was used. In question there it said non-standard port techniques. Yeah. C2 traffic. I suppose. Is there a... Hey, we can actually download it. And it will run and open for us. Hooray. Okay. So they do the same thing. They look for the host in log management to see everything. Var log audit.log logs. Although I think in mine it was .1 that had the actual aspect there. Confirm it with the OS logs. Yep, I confirmed the brute forcing and the analyst, and the password was pulled for that. At 8:18, I suppose I could have done that too, but at the time they did it, 487. That's data camp. Um, Looks like they're using IP abuse DB in the report. Maybe? Found in the database. SSH login intent with user root 7 months ago. This was during the August, right? Yeah, failed malicious activity, attempted logins. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll just use this for the other ones. Oops, sorry, puppy. Whacked him in the face. Okay, so I'll generate those to include in there. Okay. Oh, yep. If I were to scroll down a little bit more, I would have saw it. And then the VT, this had 2 at the time. And that was 2 months old. No. I mean, it's just under a year. Take a look at this. So, yeah, there would be a difference in data, because I'm sure whatever was there at data camp's been cleaned up. So that confirms all that. They kick or find the machine, they isolate it, they take a look at the commands, and you see all the recon groups. Who am I? Cat etc password. What's the get int? Retrieves information from the system's group database. Isn't that groups? All the groups defined in etc group or any other configured group database. They did the resolver.conf, solve for DNS, recursively search the home directory. Netstat SS. So we'll take a look at the active network connections on the host. Cron tab. They try to cat out cron. They ping Google to make sure that that thing works. They do the git, clone. They build it or compile it, and then they kick it off. Okay, yeah. So according to that, it's audit.log.1. Oh, the thing's wrong. That T needs to be capital. Otherwise, he would not get, because notice the screenshot. trust me, I grepped HTran lowercase all the way through. I suppose you could do what? Maybe egrep if it's installed, and then throw the, what is it, I flag for insensitive? Upper lowercase. Oh, then they've got the epoch time. Oh, yeah, I didn't really put that together. I was just relying on the fact that it was in log management. Didn't really need to verify it, though. It's there. I mean, realistically, short of just trying to get the MD5, I mean, everything was in log management platform in this case. So at least there's that. They go the extra portion to cat the auth.log. So in /of/var/log, they did auth.log grepping for the 87.249.134 or 130 address, so they can actually see the back and forth of the brute forcing from that IP. They confirm proxy tool. All groups using HTran. Huh. Wonder why they figured Stone Panda APT10 MENUPASS. Maybe because it's January 2024, so it's like the closest. So if it was October 2023, they would have said Emissary Panda, APT27, Lucky Mouse, or Bronze Union. Maybe. So initial analysis, IP address previously associated. Yeah, we were able to find that. We were able to find that it was TCP and log management. It was not encrypted, and then either application layer protocol or non-standard port. And that's why it's kind of important to sit there and make sure you fully read and understand the questions. I was just sitting there just trying to run through this stuff, but realistically, unless your organization absolutely demands that this stuff get mapped to MITRE, this is just, it is what it is. I'm not going to fight it. Okay, the technique proxy. Wait, didn't I get this one wrong? According to them. Yeah, what technique were used in C2 traffic? Why is that -5 but +5? Oh man, my head hurts now. Communications pro false positive or legit activity. Does it need to be isolated? Yes. Oh, they've even got a copy of the rule for HTran. Containment, yeah, lessons learned. Attack originated from brute force SSH attempt. Meaning the existing authentication process was inadequate. Well, yeah, because when you go to SSH into it, once you stand up the VM, it's analyst and then password 123. MFA, disable password-based authentication. Oh, so you basically just do it by SSH key. Oh, yeah, next portion. Limit access to SSH from trusted IP addresses. Rate limiting on failed. Network traffic monitoring. Unusual communications patterns. Then we get the rest of the stuff. Okay, well, I guess my URL wasn't all the way complete since I didn't include the .get, but it would take you to where it needed to be. The artifacts that they collected. Why not the one that it was listening to? Because the other aspect would be see if you can find anything that would be coming from that 18. But, okay, so there we go. That has been from October 8th, 2024, 8:26 a.m., SOC 131. Wow. SOC 330. HTran network tunneling potentially associated with APT10 MENUPASS was detected. EventID 308, type APT group, severity high. Well worth it. Very nice. Very nice. But with all that being said, I will see everybody in the next video.